So
Cool.
Drake, being in Jacksonville, going to Kona Skate Park on Saturday, kind of what's going through your mind as you're ramping up shows and you're doing more shows? What is it going to be like being in Jacksonville?
The shows have been really great. It's been a while. I've been recording my album here in Mexico, and it's been a while since I played back in the States. And we just did California, did a bunch of sold out shows there. It was really awesome. And it's really great to just get back on stage again. And these shows are really cool because the shows that I've been playing recently are, the big, huge concerts with uh, effects and it's not as intimate with the audience. It's like kind of like you just see like a sea of faces. But these shows that I'm doing in the States right now are really cool because they're much more intimate. It's just me and my guitar and piano, and I really get to kind of vibe with the audience, and they've been really great.
You're not new to music. This is not your first rodeo. Over the years
Yeah.
that you've been doing this, what have you learned about yourself and your musicianship that maybe you didn't realize when you first started in music and really getting serious with it?
Um, probably that playing live is the best part of music. I mean, I love being in the studio. I mean, that's my home. Um, but it is a trip creating something, starting in your bedroom or in the studio and then finishing it, putting it out, wondering if anyone's ever going to listen to it or hear it. And then especially when it's new stuff, um, and then going and playing a show. Like I just released a couple new songs, and the new shows that I went and played in Cali, everyone's singing every lyric to these new songs. I'm like, these just came out like 2 weeks ago. How do you know all the lyrics and all of these songs? So I think that just the magic of creating something and then going and playing it live and hearing everyone sing it back to you is pretty incredible.
As a musician, what does that mean to you, knowing that obviously your music is having an effect on people, for them to go and learn those lyrics so quickly, and like you said, you'd be surprised. What is that like? What does that give you as a musician, as someone who has an impact on people?
I mean, it's really inspiring, and what's really incredible is hearing feedback from fans. Like when we do meet and greets, it's a really great opportunity to be able to really truly connect with the fans and um, hearing you write a song and it might mean something to you, the lyrics may mean something to you, but then you hear their interpretation of it and how it affected their life or what they were going through at a certain moment in their life, and realizing that like lyrics and melodies and poetry like take on a can take on a whole different completely different life for somebody else and mean something to someone else that might not have been your intention for the song, but then realizing like, wow, like words have a lot of strength and can affect a lot of people in many different ways.
For you musically, I know the last several years, you've gone through some challenging times. Does your music kind of reflect that? And if so, is there a song that stands out on your new project? Something that really paints a picture of some of the things that you had to encounter recently?
Yeah, I mean, I think, a lot of people journal, and I would say that my songwriting is my diary basically. And I think that the so far the new song I released, the first song I released off the album called I Kind of Relate, is really the pinnacle of what I've been going through in my life through my entire life, from being a young actor and starting off really early in the business, all the trials and tribulations that come along with that, and coming through on the other side. Uh, and so the music video also um, uh, resonates a lot with basically what I've gone through in my life.
We know the Quiet on Set documentary released in March.
Yeah.
Since then, what has life been like for you after the revelations that you put out there, after you being featured in that documentary? What has it been like since March?
Um, I mean, to be honest, it's been an emotional roller coaster. It's something I never thought I'd ever speak about or tell the world. Um, but but it is a weight lifted. I mean, when you hold on to something so long inside, it really just becomes this big weight on you that you live with every day and night. And to be able to get it out, and then also uh, be able to um, relay that through song and through my lyrics has been a tremendous cathartic help and experience.
Did you get any support from people, or did you hear from people you weren't expecting to once that documentary came out and people heard your story? Were there people who came out who talked with you about what you revealed, and what were those experiences or those conversations like?
Yeah, I mean, I really had no uh preconceived idea of what I had no idea what the reaction was going to be. I didn't know. I was going through, oh, very, very nervous and frightened, and you know, what was the reaction going to be? But it's been fantastic. And, you know, uh, getting out on the road and meeting with fans and having them come up, and, I'll be going through the airport or walking around, and now, instead of just, oh, hey, can I get a picture with you real quick? Like, it's, people are sharing their stories with me, and how my stories impacted them, or other people in their families or lives. And it's been really great.
What does it mean to you that in some ways you've encouraged other people to be willing and bold enough to share things that they unfortunately went through themselves? What does it mean to you knowing that you played a role in giving people that strength or that courage to come out and explain some of the things and share some of the things that they dealt with in their lives?
um I mean, it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. I don't think it's something that I really walk around with, all the time, but when I do encounter people, it comes back to me, and it's I get to have these really nice uh moments with people, and it's, yeah, I mean, it's a good feeling.
Musically, how is your sound different than when you first started? Even from when you first started in your career, but even maybe within the last 5 or 6 years, how have you seen your sound evolve and what you do on the stage?
Well, my sound is really eclectic. I mean, I usually record what I want to listen to at that moment. It's there if I'm into some, certain sound, like that's what I end up recording in the studio. Um, but this new album really encompasses all of the sounds that I've recorded through the years. Like my last song that I just released, called Hollywouldn't. Um, it has that more I found a way, early 2000s pop punk kind of rock, harder rock element to it. Um, I kind of relate, has that, heavily Beach Boys influenced power pop. I have a lot of Latin music that I've done because I've spent so much time um, in Mexico, and playing festivals and hearing and being inspired by sounds out here. And it's so through the years. I mean, I made a rockabilly album with Brian Setzer, which was an incredible experience. My favorite guitar player, and so I've always just had a very eclectic sound. And this album, I feel like I've taken all of those sounds throughout the years and kind of put them all on this new album.
We go back to the release of the documentary. Obviously, you made a decision that you wanted to share your story, but what was it that kind of encouraged you to actually go through with it? Because I would imagine that there may have been some moments of hesitation, or maybe thinking like, oh, maybe this is not the right time to do it. But what was that deciding factor that really pushed you to say, this is the time to do it, and this I'm going to do it now?
Um, it was a tough decision. That I struggled with. I went back and forth. Do I want to do this? Do I want to keep this, to myself and not reveal it to the world? And um, I had started going through a lot of like group therapy, and I had done a lot of one-on-one therapy through my life. But when I started getting into group therapy and hearing other people's stories, and I think when you go through something like this, you feel really alone, like you're the only one. No one's going to understand me. No one will get me. No one else has these experiences. And then when you get into a group setting where you're really hearing other stories and the courage from other people, it gives you that strength to go, hey, like, maybe I can tell my story. And so I decided, this documentary may be an opportunity to uh, do what I've been doing in these group settings for other people on a grand scale. So,
How would you describe the abuse that you unfortunately experienced?
yeah, I would say it's I don't know how to describe it. It was horrific, and there's really no words for it.
You talked about going through therapy, and I know you had a stint in rehab in 2023 or last year. How did going through that help you through that period, and then even leading up to being involved in the documentary? How were you able to make it through all of that, knowing that you were dealing with something so serious that was weighing on you?
Um, that's what I'm saying. It helped a lot. Being in a group setting where you feel safe and comfortable, and people just want to see you get better, and you're seeing through a clear lens, and you're in a safe space where you feel comfortable to share and hearing other stories. So it's basically the same answer as before. Just getting the strength from other people.
What would you say to people who may be hesitant to share their stories, but they're looking for an avenue to express what they went through in their life, whether it's abuse or something else? What advice would you give to them, knowing that you found the courage to come forward and share some of the things that you had to unfortunately experienced?
Um, the biggest thing I could say is just that you're not alone. You're not alone. Uh, don't feel like you have to handle this all by yourself. And then for me, having a creative outlet is really a big one for me. But if it's not, it's uh, writing in a journal, getting it off your chest, getting it out so it's not inside anymore. Those sorts of things.
Last few questions, but I do want to bring this up because we've been seeing a couple of people post about this, even on Kona's website, or at least their social media, but about your guilty plea in 2021. I
Hmm.
want to read something from the woman who was involved in this. She said during your sentencing, "My life hasn't been the same since I was 15. I think about these crimes every single day. I feel like I am in a constant dark place. For people who are still trying to figure out and trying to get an understanding of what happened, can you walk us through the plea and this entire situation? How did all of this even get to this point? And what should fans know who are still kind of skeptical, who may not know the full story? What would you say
I
for
mean,
people who
it's
have
very it's
questions?
it's 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 very simple. Somebody had reached out to me on social media. I unfortunately responded, and then um, didn't. It's you got to be very careful who you talk to, and you know, I suggest not doing it. And then I didn't know, you know, who this person was or what age she was, and I thought that her social media presented her as being a lot older than she turned out to be. And when I found out, the age of the person, we stopped communication. And I think that started to spiral uh, into what it became. And unfortunately, it was something that I experienced and had to go through and um, learn from and change my actions and behaviors in that situation and moved on.
Those people who say that they feel like they've lost trust in you because of that one situation, how do you gain their trust back? Or is there for you personally, do you feel like you owe it to them to try to get their trust back? Like, how do you process all of that if you read anything online from fans who are saying things like that?
I just continue to move on and learn from my experiences and learn from my past and learn from my mistakes and triumphs. And and move on and continue to try and change the wrong decisions that I've made and keep going, keep walking my path.
Let's go back to music for a second, and we're wrapping up. But how long have you officially been a professional musician? And I know it can go back dating to even before your acting days and everything like that. But how long have you been a musician?
I started playing guitar when I started late. So I started about 11 years old. And I think the first time I got on stage, I was around like 12 or 13. And then I recorded my first album, my official first album when I was 15 or 14, like 14 and a half. It came out when I was 15. And it's really interesting because a lot of fans are now going back to that album and reading the lyrics that I wrote in that time when I was going through, some of the worst moments of my life. And going back and reading those lyrics and listening and going, oh my gosh, like now we get what he's talking about. Because the first record was a pretty I don't want to use the word dark, but yeah, I mean the lyrics were pretty heavy and dark. But so they're going back to that. So I released my first record when I was 15, and that had I Found a Way, like the theme song from Drake and Josh on there, and a lot of other songs that I'm playing in the new shows that fans are having that are big fan favorites.
On that, you've played music in your happy times and your dark times. How has music been there for you, and where do you hope that your music takes you now as you're kind of transcending through some of the things you've gone through the last couple of years and trying, like you said, to move forward?
Yeah, I mean, music's been everything for me. It's helped me through everything. I'm just so lucky that I picked up the guitar when I was a kid because it gave me this creative outlet to get what's going on inside off my chest and be able to write about everything. I mean, if you go to uh, my song, I Kind of Relate, that's just a great example of being able to really share everything that I've gone through. My ups, my downs, my dark periods, my mistakes, my triumphs, my good decisions, my bad decisions. I mean, there's literally lyrics in there. It's all about learning from the wrong decisions and the right decisions.
And then I'll end on this. People are excited to have you here in Jacksonville. What are people going to be able to expect and anticipate when you take the stage on Saturday night at 7?
With these shows, like I said, they're really intimate experiences and a lot of fun. I actually there was a funny and you never know what you're going to get. There was a funny a show that I did recently where I got sick and I completely lost my voice, and I was up on stage going, "Hey guys, I'm really sorry. Let's just pretend you're in my living room right now." And I started just cracking jokes. My mom called me while I was on stage. I put her on speaker. We were like, just have it. It almost turned into like a stand-up act. And then I was like, oh man, I'm so bummed about this show tonight because I completely lost my voice. And I had fans that went to every show in California. And after the last show, I asked them, I was like, okay, what was you went to all of them? No way. Like, what was your favorite one? They're like, that one where you lost your voice and your mom called you on the stage. I'm like, I thought that was my worst show. They're like, no, that was the best one. I was like, no way. That's so funny. But it gives you that the fans a totally different experience.
So awesome. Well, Drake, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Thanks for taking the time to speak with me. Just for logistics, are you on a tour? Is this considered a tour? And if so, like how many more shows are left on the tour? Or are these just kind of like dates you've set?
Yeah, these are just kind of dates I've set. We're waiting to put on the full tour once the album gets released. I do have a pretty big tour that I'm going to be doing down here in Mexico, and then and then once the album comes out, then we'll be going to other countries, back to the States, and putting out the full tour.
You said you've been recording the album, or you recorded the album in Mexico, correct?
Yeah, well, half in the United States, half in Mexico.
Gotcha. Again, like I seriously appreciate you being willing to talk with us. And I
Of
know you're
course.
busy, so we really this means a great deal to us. So we appreciate you.
No, no, me as well. Thank you so much.
Thanks. You take care of yourself.
You're the best. All right, bye-bye.
All right. Thanks. Take care.